Hi, I'm Sheryl Cuisia. I am a retail shareholder based in the UK. I have an interest in inclusive investor engagement. As a result, I have been running the Engagement Appeal, which is a hub to promote the inclusion of retail investors in companies' ongoing investor relations strategies. Essentially, what has been happening for the last 2 years is highly experimental in that I've realized that I have mostly been theorizing about being a shareholder rather than remembering and living like a retail shareholder. If we think about it, all of us, nearly all of us, company directors, employees, etc., are all pretty much retail shareholders, especially those who have pensions, right? So I think a great starting point with retail shareholder or the thinking around retail shareholders is that we ourselves are retail shareholders. So what would we expect as individual investors or retail shareholders? And if we can think in that manner, it probably will help with the actions we take in the course of everyday investor relations. Of course, institutional investors are very important. However, a lot of these institutional investors are shifting their gazes, as we already know, overseas, particularly in the States. In any case, I just wanted to provide a brief intro on myself. The purpose of this video actually is to talk about what is happening in the UK with UK investment funds and a hedge fund, an American hedge fund called Saba Capital Management. So myself, as I mentioned, I'm a retail shareholder. I own a position, at least one share, in about 1,400 UK listed companies. So nearly all of the UK companies. It sounds a bit crazy, but the idea of holding at least one share, largely through private client brokers, is so I can attend AGMs. Obviously, it's physically impossible to attend every single AGM, and thankfully, we do have a great group here at T, particularly our Gen Z ambassadors, who in our first trial run of AGMs acted as my proxy. So essentially, what I've been doing since a little bit of retirement, because my background, in fact, is in proxy solicitation, shareholder engagement, and corporate governance advisory. So I worked on about 1,000 shareholder engagement cases, including some of the most contentious ones from involving activists, investors that you would know about, private equity, takeovers, etc. And basically, from my experience of being in that line of work, I've realized many things that essentially I'm trying to effect some positive change or progress ever so slowly, and and maybe even more fun. Anyway, so basically, what we are going to be doing today is looking at the Saba Capital Management versus UK Investment Trust situation. So, as mentioned, I am a shareholder in all 7 of these UK investment trusts. So basically, what we have here are 7 UK investment trusts that have received requisitions from Saba Capital Management the US American hedge fund run by Boaz, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, run by Boaz Weinstein and their gorgeous dog, Max. Yeah, put a face of a dog on any website and I'm hooked. I'm so simple that way. Anyway, so basically, um, we have here Herald Investment Trust that took place today. It's the largest of all the investment trusts. And then you've got Bailey Gifford US Growth. You've got Keystone Positive Change, CQS Natural Resources Growth and Income, Henderson Opportunities Trust, European Smaller Companies Trust, and Edinburgh Worldwide. So I own one share in each of these companies. Just so happens that it's in my portfolio of 1,400 or so UK listed companies in that portfolio. So it's just so chances are I was going to end up being a shareholder already. So I own my shares through Interactive Investor, who frankly I think have just been really great. So I don't really like paper. So I know, some people do. Maybe the boomers like paper a lot more than Gen X like me. But in the, in the last couple of weeks, my mailbox, which by the way, I don't really check that much, but just so happen I have been checking my mailbox, has been full of all these mailings in relation to the Saba requisition general meeting. So if you give me a moment, I will show you at least some of these. Okay, so let's start here. I think I put these in order. This one is actually the one from Herald. We'll come back to that. This one is from Bailey Gifford. This one is from Keystone. Put my glasses on so I can actually see. And this one is from Henderson Opportunities. And then, what does this one say? Oh, another one from Henderson. Wow, a second mailing. Jeez, okay. And then here we go. This one is from, I can't read back, the European Smaller Companies Trust PLC. Okay. And then what have we got here? Is that Keystone again? Oh gosh, okay, two from Keystone. Wow. And then what have we got here? Oh wait, this is from BlackRock. It's a sample letter. It's a letter that I received in relation to an AGM that I've been carrying around with me because I think they're a really good example. So I'll come back to that. The lights have turned off here, so just give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. We're back in business. And ooh, look at these posh ones. Wow, very big, very expensive. So part of the reason why I don't like paper is because they kind of stress me out because I think about, oh my gosh, all the trees, and how much does this cost? So anyway, maybe I'm crazy, but that's why I don't like paper, and this is why I have asked Interactive Investor to basically just communicate with me via their app. Via their app and via their email. And that has worked really well. And this video is independent, by the way, no one's sponsoring us. And then there's this other one I have not yet opened, but I will do. So so basically, let's just look through some of them. We won't look through every single one in this video, but we will do in other videos. So I have already requested letters of representation for all of the 7, for all of the 7 um, general meetings. I'm based in London and Cambridgeshire. So going to Edinburgh is going to be a bit of a problem. So I'm hoping that there would be a hybrid option for these ones in Edinburgh, but let's see. In any case, I am already set in terms of requesting my letters of representation so I can actually attend the general meetings, and then I will vote at the general meeting itself. So obviously, I research ahead of the time, because even though it's only 1 share, it's still a voice. So I don't want to waste my voice, hence researching. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these. Okay, let's put my face back up again. All right, well, not my face, but bigger screen. So let's start with this one. Herald, which actually already announced the result of their general meeting, which is interesting. So basically, this has come in first class, okay? So just bear in mind that actually I used to run these proxy solicitation campaigns and do these mailings like 15, 20 years ago. So there's been so much technological advance in the world of buying and trading shares. We cover this in our newsletters, in our inaugural white paper. But it would seem that the strategy for engaging retail shareholders has not really changed that much in 20 years. So some of the technique used by whoever sent these out, probably the proxy consultant in collaboration with the registrar and obviously the company, are still using similar format to what we put out. So basically, this it's a fold-out letter, you know, spelling out in these boxes the key messages, the company's rationale for recommending the vote against. And then here, this is helpful. This is great. So it's so much easier now to vote via nominees. So a lot of old school retail shareholders are probably going to hate me for saying this, and maybe the registrars too. But you know, that concept of, if you hold your shares through a nominee or a broker, you're not really a shareholder, and that you don't have the same rights as a directly registered retail shareholder. Yes, probably in legal terms, as per the UK Companies Act 2006, yes, you would be a beneficial holder rather than a registered holder or a member. But essentially, instead of me spending £35 to buy 1 share through a registrar and waiting several days for that purchase to settle, I can spend $3.99 or less to buy shares through a nominee and receive the shares almost immediately. And then I have the ability to vote online or via their platform or via their app. I guess the only drawback would be that the deadline for voting and requesting letters of representation is just a few days before the official proxy voting deadline to allow these the proxy voting teams, the back office teams of these platforms to actually process the request, which I think is only fair. And if you're organized, which I am, which we are here at T, then you can actually plan in advance to make sure that you don't miss the voting deadlines. So anyway, so that was Herald. I'm not going into the granularities of the arguments being made by both sides. That's not the purpose of this engagement. So of this video. So then there's the Bailey Gifford one, the Bailey Gifford U.S. Trust, U.S. Growth Trust Fund. Okay, let's open this one and see what it looks like. So again, it's first class. Wait, is it first class? Yep, it's first class. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Suspenseful. We're going to do Bailey Gifford, and then we're going to do one more, and then we're going to proceed with the rest of an agenda that I have prepared for you. This one here from Harold. These are all coming from the companies, by the way. So the companies are spending money on posting these out, including to me, a single shareholder, which, you know, it's great to be acknowledged. Brilliant. I love it. I just feel so bad that, you know, there's all this money being spent on paper. And so you see Harold and you see Bailey Gifford. Who are the proxy consultants here? Who are the registrars? Okay, I'm going to take off my glasses. So this one, the Herald one, I know for sure it says, so this one, the registrar is Link or MUFG, and the proxy consultant is DF King. Okay, and then this one, I think, is Equinity. So Equinity, I think, is the registrar for most of these companies. Who's the proxy consultant? Okay, we will look at this properly. Yeah, interesting. So literally, this is so funny. This is exactly like the letters I used to send out, you know, as far back as 15, 20 years ago. Gosh, we need to move forward. Okay, so we said one more, right? One more. Okie dokie. Should we look at a posh one? Okay, maybe we'll do a little bit of it cheap. Let's look at a posh one. Okay, wow, look at that one. I say posh because it's in the bigger envelope. This is expensive. It's from Equinity. I have to say I have a closeness, or I have a place in my heart for Equinity because I sold my company to Equinity, and it was a really great experience. So lucky me. Okay, so the first, right. So the first page here is essentially just my name and my address. So, okay, that is interesting. I understand why they do that, so that you can see the details on the window, but that's one paper. Okay, so then look at that. What's lovely, nice and colored and thick. But you know, this is a well-constructed letter. It's very clear, clean, crisp, has key instructions in bold and red, obviously. And then there's also this QR code. Okay. Wow. And then you've got this booklet here, which I believe is actually already available online, but it is very instructional. And I remember putting these kinds of things together. So then you have to make, they follow this playbook of making it, playbook of this KISS playbook. Keep it simple, stupid. So here we go again. Anyway, it is several pages long. Graphs and charts are substantiating the board's recommendation, their performance. This is a well thought out and constructed piece of collateral that I expect would have been put together by the company's legal, financial, PR, IR, company secretary, input from the proxy consultants and the registrar, and then obviously inputted by and reviewed and approved by the board. So these proxy fights, these campaigns, they cost so much money, and not just that, so much time and emotion. My advice always to clients on both sides of the table, so both companies and activists, is be clinical when you're working on an activist situation. Don't take anything personally. Don't be emotional. It's hard to practice that, but you have to try. Anyway, so this is fulsome. The proxy consultant for this. So Quinity is the registrar, and the proxy consultant for this is Georgeson, the biggest proxy solicitor globally. So yeah, that's posh. So fun. Okay, one more. I promise. That's it for now, and then we will look at the other ones. So there's one more full scap one, and then several of these smaller ones. I don't even know what these sizes are called. So this is Henderson Opportunities. I have already opened it. Again, it goes back. It's from the yeah, Henderson. Okay. So, similar style to the other one. Must be the same proxy consultant. Very clean, clear. I love the pink. Matchy. Right, okay, so probably a registrar is, who is it? Probably, is it Equinity? And and proxy consultant is Georgeson. Okay. Oh my gosh, look at this one. Wow. That's shiny and pink. Okay, and very clear. So they use the same kind of old school infographic. If you, yeah, it's like, this is how a Gen X would create an infographic. How a Gen Z would create an infographic is completely different. Gen Z probably won't have words if they're creating an infographic. But anyway, this is like, sings probably to the Gen X and boomers that largely still comprise these companies. And maybe that's why they don't really attract many of the younger generation, because many of that younger generation are probably in crypto or in NVIDIA, Tesla, MicroStrategy, Palantir, Riot, Coinbase, whatever else. And then here again, because I hold for Interactive Investor, they're telling me how I would vote. So this is really helpful for educating retail shareholders. I just wish it wasn't. Only when there's an emergency, we need to have retail basically knowing this on a routine basis. Companies shouldn't have to wait until there's a problem to basically engage retail investors. And if they do this incrementally and as routine, then they won't have to mail so much in the future. And actually, I would what they what I would love to have seen in these is you know a slip um, saying, please register your email address so that in future we can write to you via email. And if you register your email address, you might receive some perks, which obviously is not an investment and is compliant with best practice. Perks including being notified of company events and being invited to those company events. So anyway, now you have seen some of these mailings, some of which I have read, and many of which I still will review and research more. So I showed you that envelope that I carry with me. I sound like a strange person, but I probably am. So that envelope, basically I carry around because it gives a good example of what companies can do to instill that good habit amongst retail to participate in AGM. So I think 2 years ago, BlackRock funds began identifying the underlying holders in the nominee account. So those who hold through Interactive Investors, Barclays, Hargreaves Lansdown, AJ Bell, etc. So they did this voluntarily. So most companies basically will receive their register analysis and it will show in one line, Hargreaves Lansdown, 10% of the issued share capital. Interactive Investors, 7.5, AJ Bell, 6%, and they'll leave it at that. But the reality is, within those accounts are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of underlying individual beneficial holders who basically don't know that the AGMs are happening. So basically what BlackRock UK funds voluntarily started doing 2 years ago, and I know this because there's an amazing non-executive director called Srinivasan Venkatakrishnan. So he is the chair of Endeavor Mining, and he's also the SID of BlackRock World Mining. He called me once and he said, Sheryl, you're doing all this retail shareholder stuff. Have you looked at BlackRock? I'm like, yeah, that's amazing, Srini. And then if you take a look here, the next pages, it provides some disclaimers, and this is basically a catch-all of how to vote your shares via some of the key nominees. Obviously, these must be the largest nominees within their register. So this is really helpful. And then some other examples of good retail engagement, in my opinion. So Prudential, I went to this event. To be honest, I think the company's secretariat and the IR team here are just top. You know the quality of the company's secretariat and the investor relations by the quality of the AGM and the investor relations events that they put together. So everything just works like clockwork, in my opinion, well researched. You can see the experience of these of the people that make up these teams. And you can see actually, unlike maybe as recent as 10 years ago, that um, the company secretariat and the IR work together as opposed to working in silos like before. And I think even though it's not cool anymore, I think ESG actually broke down that barrier, those silos between company secretariat and IR, and basically now there's more collaboration between the two, and certainly within this firm, um, you can just see the quality of the COSEC and the IR. Obviously, this is just my impression from my engagement with them, um, and basically the activities you see from the board. So really great event, well attended. I think there must have been around 40, 50 individual investors. Really great opportunity for them to actually access, and me to access the company. And then I didn't receive this letter, but I found this on LinkedIn. So there's this individual investor called Mark Atkinson. Again, I've not met him personally, but he posts quite a lot about his retail investing activities. And how cool is this letter? So the chair has, you know, written personally to their retail investors, inviting them to attend their AGM. So and I had some engagement with their company secretariat or their IR actually as a result of this, and me buying a share. Or actually, I think I even bought more than just the one share. So sometimes when I attend these AGMs, I end up actually buying more shares because I become more interested in the company, um, and think actually this is going to be a company that I want to grow with. So then I buy more shares. So essentially, going to AGMs is part of my research. So basically, this is great, and literally what MP Evans wants is as many retail shareholders attending their AGM. I think they had about 100 or so. And if you think about it, why not have AGM festivals like Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway with 40,000 retail shareholders, including Hollywood celebrities like Glenn Close and whoever else, queuing for hours to enter the stadium in which the AGM is being held. Those are shareholder fans. Anyway, so these are just some examples. So then let's take a look here. So the idea is, if you have a routine of understanding who your who all your shareholders are, institutions, retail, beneficial through nominees, you're not going to have as many blind spots, and it will be easier to engage all of your investors when there's an emergency or a difficult situation, such as an activist investor situation. And also, it is important to note that, these activists, they're not always your enemy. They're not always the enemy of the company. They want good returns. They're shareholders themselves. So sometimes often it's a good idea to collaborate, in my opinion.